Welcome back. We are going to continue our series, Battleground 2020. Today, we're taking a look at Montana. Now, the state went for President Trump by 20 points in 2016. So it's in no danger of flipping over to blue this cycle presidentially. But it does have a competitive Senate race. Incumbent Senator Steve Daines is being challenged by the state's two-term Democratic governor, Bullock. And recent polling by a Democratic polling firm, granted, take that with a grain of salt, has Bullock up by 2 over Daines. Now, normally this wouldn't be that big of a deal, but the Democrats need 4 seats to flip the Senate. And the question is, can they put Montana in play? Joining us now is the state's incumbent Republican Senator Steve Daines. Senator, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, Sean.
Okay, so how concerned are you that this seat is in play, not just for you, but in terms of the Democrats looking at it as a way to flip the Senate from being in control of the Republicans, led by Mitch McConnell, to the Democrats, led by Chuck Schumer?
Well, Sean, we always knew this would be a competitive race. In fact, I'm the first Republican to serve in this U.S. Senate seat in 101 years, to put some perspective around that. But the issue is there's millions of dollars coming in from out of state. Let me share some perspective. So I'm doing virtual events with folks like Donald Trump Jr., with Nikki Haley, with Lindsey Graham, with Ted Cruz, so many of these great Republicans who are helping me. Steve Bullock, my opponent, the current governor of Montana, he's been doing events with Jane Fonda and Kamala Harris. There is such a difference, but here's the deal. They're raising huge amounts of Hollywood money that's pouring into the state. Chuck Schumer is licking his chops, pouring all this money into Montana. And that's why this race has become competitive. They are trying to overwhelm this state of just 1 million people with tens of millions of dollars of Hollywood and liberal money.
I'll tell you what, I think you could almost pay money to see Jane Fonda step foot in Montana and get on like a horse or something. I think that would probably write your campaign for you.
This is an invitation. We will pay for Jane Fonda to come to Montana and campaign with the good governor. I will tell you that he did a fundraiser with her, but I gotta believe that he has better sense than to bring her here to the state. But the invitation remains open, Sean. I'll fly her up here.
That would be awesome. Let me ask you this. The president, as I noted, won Montana by 20 points. I'm not a big fan of public polls, so don't get me wrong on this. But the current polling has him up just by 9. Is that of a concern to you?
Hey, President Trump is going to win Montana by a lot more than 9 points. He won it by 20 points back in 2016. And I'm a numbers guy at heart, Sean. I was a chemical engineer by degree. I spent 28 years in business, worked for Procter & Gamble, worked in the cloud computing business. I'm an analytical numbers guy, business guy, job creator at heart. Look at the numbers, Sean. This is not going to be a 9-point race for President Trump. I will tell you something. Joe Biden's numbers here in terms of his fave-unfaves, they're as bad as Hillary Clinton's were back in 16. That surprises people, but that's what our data is showing us. Montanans have pretty good sense, and we can see right through what's going on with Joe Biden.
Senator Daines, Governor Bullock yesterday issued a statewide mask mandate. I mean, whoever thought we would be talking about whether or not wearing a mask was a political issue. But do you think it's going to have a significant impact on this election at all?
Well, I'll tell you, the problem right now in Montana is we're seeing significant spikes in COVID-19. In fact, out of 50 states, Montana currently is leading the nation in number of cases since reopening of all 50 states on a percentage basis. And so this is not boding well right now for our state, but masks should not be a political issue. Montanans have good common sense. We understand the importance of protecting your neighbor, protecting those who are most vulnerable, our senior citizens. But these top-down driven mandates don't go over real well with most Montanans. But we need to continue to watch out for our neighbors. But what got proposed by the governor and implemented is a patchwork policy. It applies to about a little less than half of our counties. So depending on which county you're driving through right now will depend on whether you have to wear a mask or not. That doesn't work. Our law enforcement is saying we can't enforcement. Our county attorneys are saying this isn't going to work. So let's wait and see what happens. It's been in place now for about 24 hours.
Hey, Senator, you were instrumental in getting $10 billion of funding in the CARES Act for manufacturing. How important is it to have some sort of second phase of this?
Really, really important. So, Sean, before I came to the U.S. Senate, I spent 28 years in business, about half that time working for Procter & Gamble. I used to launch FDA-regulated products. I understand what it takes to speed vaccines and these therapeutics to market, not through shortchanging the FDA approval process, but by running the manufacturing process in parallel with the FDA approvals. That's the role the federal government has here. I fought for that in that care package back in March, was able to secure $10 billion. I told my colleagues it's the best money we'll ever spend because it actually will stop the pandemic. The only way you stop the economic crisis is by stopping the pandemic. You stop the pandemic by getting immunity. You get immunity by having vaccines and therapeutics. So I am cautiously optimistic, Sean, that by the end of this year, you're going to see some amazing American innovation, made in America vaccines available for the American people. That'll be some of the best money we spent of all that $2.2 trillion.
You know, I wish you the best of luck on the campaign trail, because it sounds like we need a little bit more of that common sense, business sense that you bring to the Senate. It's really what Washington needs more of. Thank you for being here, and I hope you stay safe on the campaign trail.
Thanks, Sean. We will. Thanks for the time as well.
All right, do you know where your kids are going in the fall? Detroit Public Schools are allowing parents to decide whether their kids learn in school or online. Could it be a model for the rest of the country? Trish Regan is here to give us her take next. Then a major security breach of some high-profile Twitter accounts. We're breaking down that story with our company.